welcome to my channel, Awaken Authentic Self. I am Jill Young. If you're watching me for the first time, thank you, existing subscribers, for supporting this channel. I'd like to welcome the new subscribers to this channel. Today's topic is overcoming smear campaigns. Overcoming smear campaigns. Now, the number one way, in my opinion, to overcome a smear campaign is no longer needing validation from others, no longer even caring about what people think or say about you. You have to really get to a place where you are so free and you are so liberated from others' opinions about you that you no longer care. However, what do you do when people assassinate your character, who you are as a person, and it's affecting your livelihood? For example, a smear campaign attack can come at you at your place of employer, at your job, maybe coworkers, or a supervisor that doesn't like you for some reason, trying to make you appear a certain way that can get you in some sort of trouble, or make your job harder in the way you work with your other colleagues. Now then, there is a problem there, and you can't just ignore it, right? So with everything in life, you have this physical side of it, earthly side of it, and then you have a spiritual side of it, because life is what, you all? Life is spiritual. So when somebody, is at you for some reason trying to create a smear campaign, just know that that person could be threatened by you. Maybe they think that you are going to come in and take their job, their position, or outshine them. A lot of evil that happens in the world is rooted from jealousy. Witchcraft is rooted from jealousy. These are people who are insecure, envious, petty, and basically have nothing better to do with themselves, with their life, than to try to attack somebody's character and who you are as a person. But don't let it get to you. Pray about it. Know that God keeps us in perfect peace. You can always overcome a smear campaign simply by doing you, making sure you're on your P's and Q's. Don't even address such people, because see, their lies will eventually come to light, because when they start saying things about you that are untrue, and people see you are a good person to work with, you're easy to work with, you're friendly, you're professional, they'll start looking at that person like, I don't get this same, I don't get this same feedback from this individual. I don't get this same, feel or experience that you speak of about this particular person. They're eventually going to make themselves appear and look as though they are the ones with the problem. So you can actually, point the finger at a liar without pointing the finger at a liar. And sometimes, we have smear campaigns in our personal lives. Now, these are the catty, petty people who are unhappy with their life. Instead of focusing on what they got going on, they over here sticking their nose up in what you got going on, trying to guess what's going on in your life, comparing themselves. Now, these are the type of smear campaigns that you can just laugh at, basically. Because these people got it coming for themselves. You no longer caring about what they think. Now, really overcoming the smear campaign with these type of situations, you probably have grown to a point where you're not even in the same circles as such people, because we already know birds of a feather flock together. So when you're dealing with a person who is immature and petty and still in the like child school era, hopefully you've already have left the circles of groups of those type of individuals and no longer, um, socializing with those type of individuals. So really, who is it that they're trying to impress? What are they trying to improve? We don't even hang in the same circles. I could care less about, you trying to look at a story on my Facebook or look at pictures and trying to guess and come up with situations and scenarios about what I'm doing. And then going behind, my back to talk about it with your friends who you're trying to impress, who really don't like you anyway. you know? So, people need to just grow up. But I just want to talk about, the characteristics of such people. These are deceitful people. These are people who lie. These are people who are fake. And the Bible talks about liars. And so if you go to John in the Bible, chapter 8, verse 44, it says, "You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies." See, even the Bible lets us know that Satan is the father of lies. Now, God created Satan, but Satan created lies. So when you see this type of spirit, this spirit of deception or whatever operating behind a person, know that they are being used, know that they are being influenced by their father, Satan. There's certain things that people of the world and God's children, even if God's child, you haven't came fully to the Lord yet, you're not going to be concerned about other people so much so that you start creating stories and falsifying things and, just trying to create drama up in somebody's life that you're not even in communication with. Like you gotta be a very sick and very just unhappy individual that you got to start some drama in someone else's life as if it's some type of competition. Like, I feel sorry for such people. Why, if you call yourself being happy, you have your family, you have your maybe your significant other, and you're worried about what I'm doing, what he's doing, what she's doing. Make it make sense. It doesn't, does it? These people have the spirit of deception operating in them. A lot of times these people are narcissistic, very superficial. They care about things that, a normal person wouldn't care about. An empathetic person would not care about trading, a lie about another, right? They would be more focused on themselves, right? So Exodus, I want to just take us through some scriptures to talk about such people. But if you go to Exodus, chapter 23, verse 1, it says, "You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with a wicked man to be a malicious witness." When people come to you and want to try to talk to you about somebody else, don't participate in the shenanigans. Because see, that person's, I don't want to say karma, but what's coming back for that individual who's sharing some gossip with you about somebody else, it can also affect you. It can also come back to you just for participating in the drama. This is like being a flying monkey for the narcissist. Narcissists always have like their flying monkeys. They always have people that will come do their dirty bidding for them. They already know we're one to them, so they may send somebody else to come check out what you got going on, and then that person would go take it back to the narcissist, to the person who's trying to create some type of smear campaign about you. These people are jealous. And when you have such jealous, envious people around you, never share your information with them, never share your plans, your life, the private things about yourself with that individual, because they're trying to find out, what your next steps are, what your next moves are, so they can go ahead of you and try to mess it up. And that falls also in line with what monitoring spirits do. Always monitoring. Always monitoring. It's interesting because a lot of people who are like this, I've noticed, they try to make it appear that they are so happy, they got things going on in their life. But at the same time, they're doubling back to look at what you got going on. You can't be too happy. We are not in competition with each other. Maybe you thought it was a competition. I'm living my life in my lane. They need to live their life in their lane. So when you get to the point where you no longer need validation, when the things that you do, the way that you move has nothing to do with an audience, it has nothing to do with people. This is just you doing you. The smear campaigns, the pettiness is not going to affect you. Another way to get around and overcome a smear campaign is being transparent. Like, for example, if you're dealing with this at your job, make sure you always copy others in an email. If you're having a certain problem with an individual, with another employee or a boss, you always want to have other witnesses around you so they can't try to change the narrative about your tone of voice or what you said, or try to create loopholes or create, false situations, or change things around to try to mess you up in some kind of way. The enemy is very crafty, but you got to just kind of laugh at the enemy, because our Father God in heaven sits back and laughs at the wicked, because he knows their time is coming. Their time is coming. So these people who try to create smear campaigns are trying to create some type of humiliation ritual. But what they don't know is you're so 10 steps ahead, because you're so elevated. Hopefully you're so elevated, the person I'm speaking to right now, that you can care less about what others think about you anyway. Anyway. So if you're like that, if you've gotten to that place, congratulations, because you already won. And you can now respond instead of react to the petty, evil tactics. So that's today's message for today, you all. Overcoming smear campaigns. Don't forget to hit that like button. I'd like to thank you for watching. I am Jill Young, and I will see you again another day, God willing.